My name is Cryptica Scriptura, and I shall be your guide across the armillary. Please be advised that the Quizmaster shall be the ultimate arbiter of truth and revelation. The renegade weaponized head, known as PKD, is at heart just a poor wayfaring stranger, and I, Cryptica Scriptura, have come to bring PKD home to the Valis, which is to say, home to you.
Bring me the hat, bring me the hat, bring me the hat, bring me the hat. And I don't much care if it is living or dead.
Oh, dixit po. Caput et foramine extraxit aliquam mandium menitas est, dende caput iterum immisset et dixit
PKD 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 PKD.
Bring me the head, I said, bring me the head, and I don't care if it's living or dead.
It's chaos.
On a stick, the head of Philip K. Dick. He's reached the end of his line.
I'll admit it is chaos. I'm trying to rein that chaos in.
I want you to think of the darkest room in the darkest corner of the Pentagon. Now imagine a secret door that goes into a secret tunnel, and the tunnel has the code name Cheney. Stuff happens in that tunnel that nobody knows about, and to my way of thinking, that is not an indication of a healthy democracy. In a healthy democracy, we share the truth with the public, even when the truth is painful. In this case, we have a weaponized android head, a very smart and very dangerous android head, and the head is out of control, by which we mean there is no one controlling it, or if there is someone in control, it's not someone we can control, so that's even worse. I decided to go public because I'm a patriot, and that means I believe that government serves the people and not the other way around. So if there is some crazed android berserker out wreaking havoc in our shining city on a hill, well, this is not something that should be hidden from the American people.
I prefer Patricia, but everyone calls me Pat. Perky Pat. I work for Virgin, cabin crew, long hauls. Boston, Paris, cup of coffee, then back to Boston, sleep for a day, then do it all over again. I don't know why I took the thing. I mean, I never took anything before. It just, well, I know this sounds like I'm making excuses, but it's almost like it took me. It looked like the kind of fancy case you might use to carry one of those stud cameras, or maybe some kind of medical thingy. I figure, hey, that's something I can sell on eBay. Believe me, I can use the money. So I stuff it in my flight bag and head for home. So I get home, pour myself a beaker of Bianco, take a big gulp, snap open the case, and there's this head. It's rubber. I mean, it feels like rubber. It's not plastic. It's more fleshy, but not flesh. And there's this scrungy beard. I figure, it must be some sort of model for a photo shoot or something. So that's a major letdown, because I'm thinking eBay final bid, zilch. But it's way too sophisticated to be a model. I mean, somebody spent a lot of time on this thing. So I sort of turn it around, facing me, hold it by the ears just like this, okay? And the eyes sort of pop open, and he says, coffee, tea, or me? The eyes were, I don't know. If I try to describe the eyes, you'll think I'm on drugs. I mean, I am on drugs. Anxiety, vertigo, guilt, PTSD, they call it. Post-traumatic stress disorder. That's me. Especially the disorder part. So then, I guess, I don't know, I pass out, go into shock. And, when I come to, I'm in this, sand pit. White lights blazing right on top of me, and the head sitting there on some sort of a wooden stump. And it's giving me that same bug-eyed look, and it's singing. He's singing. I mean, now he's actually singing. Plenty of sunshine coming my way. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay. I see a naked baby, a tiny little boy floating in the air. Beneath the baby, I see thorns, a nasty-looking nest of thorns. I mean, they look like barbed wire or something. Then there's this sort of grunting out in the dark, sort of, I don't know, the only thing I can say, it's kind of gross, but it's like there's this gang of men out in the dark, like they're, oh God, just this sort of gross grunting chant, herky-jerky like. And the baby dropping down slowly, inch by inch, towards the nest, the killer nest. So, okay, I'm not a mother, not yet, but I feel this powerful primal need. I have to protect that baby from that crazy zippity-doo-dah head. I try to move, but my feet are stuck in deep sand. The harder I work, the more the sand sort of sucks at my feet. The grunts are getting louder, faster. Then the baby, 6 inches from the nest. I jump forward. This time the sand doesn't suck me back. I get my hands in between the baby and the thorns, grab onto him, pull him out of the way. Now the grunts are out of control, and the head's still spurting out zippity. Then everything goes black again. Dead black. When I wake up, I'm back here in my living room, but there's no baby, and no head. I mean, the case is still here, but no head. Just these cuts on my arm from where I fell on the thorns, and I notice also this sort of irritation down in my... Am I allowed to say vagina? So I figure that's the end of it. But then about 10 days later, I get a visit from Homeland Security. The lady says her name is Kirsten. I bet they sent her so I wouldn't be scared. But she tells me scary things. Tells me I've been raped, and that's why my vagina still hurts. Then she shows me this video. It looks like the really cheesy stuff you see on the internet, Woman gets nailed by man in animal masks sort of thing. Looks like they're on the beach, okay? Sand dunes. But then she has this fancy software she can, digitally enhance the picture so I can see the woman. And the face, well, it's me. I mean, it's definitely me. I say, who did this to me? She says there's a terrorist named the Quizmaster, and he makes bin Laden look like a sissy. Then she tells me I'm pregnant, but not with a baby. She says it's some kind of monster bioweapon designed by the Quizmaster, with my body as the delivery system. I'm like, no way. So she gives me one of those tests, you know, where you pee on a stick. So I do it, and the stick says, pregnant. Then she tells me I need to abort whatever it is. Like, right then, outside, they have some sort of mobile van. She says it's a matter of national security. Millions of innocent lives may be at stake. I say, so what is this? Some sort of Rosemary's Baby? She says, worse.
Yeah, we definitely have a problem.
I ask her, do I have a choice? And she says, no, not really. So I go out to the van and it's like super high tech. And the med team wearing these white hazmat suits. I mean, we do drills at Virgin, so I know what they are. They prep me, put me to sleep, and clean me out. I wake up in my own bed. Kirsten is there. She tells me I did good. I ask her, is it over? She says, yes. But it's not over. The head is still out there, and it wants me dead.
What is the story with this android? Did the Philip K. Dick android go rogue? Is it out there? Has it blended in?
God is now here, God here, why knows? God we ions, God news ear holds.
For I am fashioning a new heaven and a new earth, and the memory of the former things will not enter the mind, nor come up into the heart. If one does not expect it, one will not find out the unexpected. It is not to be tracked down, and no path leads us to it. As above, so below, the black iron prison remains eternally open above, as the empire never ended below.
PKD is the code name. One of the geniuses who invented the head happens to be a devoted fan of the science fiction author Philip K. Dick. He used to tell me that the various intelligence agencies could save a trunk load of money by just reading the collected work of Philip K. Dick, because it's all there. The future of war, the future of human society, and very definitely the future of America. What can it do? Basically, the head has the capacity to thoroughly fry your sense of time. I mean you as an individual, but it can also fry groups like military units, neighborhoods, or nation-states. The head is built around a super intense resonator that sounds on the surface like a church choir humming the chorus to your favorite Easter hymn. But beneath the surface, there are intensely compressed nano waves that serve to unravel the boundary between this time, the time we are all in right now, and all other possible times, times that are on every side of this time. And when those boundaries collapse, space rotates, relocates, and you can be anywhere at any time. But the problem is, you don't know where or when. From a tactical point of view, this is a nightmare.
The Very Reverend Dylan Darkley of St. Paul's Episcopal can find no rational explanation for the sudden appearance of a polished marble head stuck on top of a silver rod at the center of the parish memory garden. Bearing a strong resemblance to Ms. Patricia Bishop, who sings alto in the church choir, the head appears to be broadcasting a looped version from a well-known Easter hymn, as well as a steady sequence of numbers that authorities suggest may be a calculation of the so-called golden number, known to mathematicians as phi. Though the broadcasts simulate her voice, Ms. Bishop, a Virgin flight attendant, released a statement through the Very Reverend Darkley in which she claims to be the victim of said head and not its creator. An investigator for the Department of Homeland Security, who requests anonymity, suggests that the head may be the work of a shadowy individual or movement known as the Quizmaster.
Yes, my name is Darkley, Reverend Dylan Darkley, spelled Darkleigh, and regarding the head known as PKD, these are the facts as I know them. Number 1. Patricia Bishop is a member of St. Paul's. She flies for Virgin and sings alto in our choir. She is known to all who love her as Perky Pat, and in truth, I have never known her to be anything but Perky, that is to say, pre-PKD. Number 2. On the morning in question, I set out for a walk through our parish memorial garden, as is my custom. I there encountered a strong and gravely indelicate aroma, a stench that slammed into me as if the very left hand of God had grabbed the back of my skull and rammed my pitiful proboscis straight up into Annus Mundi. Number 3. My nose is not a stranger to such dreadful stench. I have volunteered at the local hospice, and I have buried many a hamster, many a kitty cat, and many a beloved budgie, thereupon to sniff the vapors of eternity. Number 4. With hanky pressed tightly against my nostrils, I observed a tall silver rod at the center of the columbarium. A rod, you see, where there had been no rod before. But it was not the rod that commanded my attention, but the head stuck on top, like a chunk of greasy meat at the end of a barbecue skewer. Number 5. I say head, for now we know all about PKD. But to my eyes on that morning, it was simply a chunk of red meat encrusted with peppercorns, a bearded steak au poivre. But you see, the peppercorns were blowflies, and they hummed loudly as they ate their ungodly feast. Number 6. I retreated to the sanctuary, descended to the choir room, grabbed one of the more tatty robes from the closet to wrap the blackened head for disposal. One of the red ones, one of the ones reserved for boy sopranos. But you see, we no longer have any boy sopranos. Number 7. When I returned to the garden, the humming sound had become louder, like a room full of toddlers pretending to be bees. I took one last deep breath before approaching the skewer, threw the choir robe over what remained of the chunk, brought it round to the fire pit at the back of the parish house, drenched the bundle with barbecue fluid, said a prayer, a brief prayer, a very brief prayer, then lit a match. Number 8. The meaty thing wrapped inside the robe thereupon began to sing, a high-pitched wail and hiss. My memory turned to my horror as a child on the day my grandmother lowered an enormous lobster into a pot of boiling water head first, and me standing there watching by her side. The lobster sang the same sort of song, and I did nothing. Not then, not now. Number 9. The head burned faster than I expected, cooked down to nothing but black ash, with a few gooey bits like tar. Everything but the beard. The beard was inflammable. So I stared for a moment at the strange nest of whiskers, then a word popped into my head: water. Ashes into water. Number 10. I shoveled the remains into the fire bucket, slipped on one of my garden gloves, lugged the bucket next door to the home of our senior warden, and dumped the mess into the fish pond. I stood and watched as the fat fish nipped and tugged at the gooey bits, and as the metal whiskers sank to the bottom. Number 11. I returned once more to the garden, only to find that the chunk of meat had now been replaced at the top of the silver rod with a marble sculpture, a sculpture that in every detail and dimension represents the spitting image of Patricia Bishop, a.k.a. Perky Pat. Number 12. After inspection by local police, and then by FBI, and then by the Secret Service, and then by unnamed but serious-looking individuals with fancy gadgets and latex gloves, I have been told that neither the rod nor the head may be touched or moved, in fear that such movement may serve as lethal trigger for some catastrophic unknown. Number 13. In the meantime, the silver rod broadcasts a steady signal on frequency 66.6 AM, hymn number 208, sung by Perky Pat and unnamed others. The strife is over, the battle won, with its third verse repeated ad nauseam. The 3 sad days are quickly sped. He rises glorious from the dead. All glory to our risen head. Alleluia. And then there are the numbers. Long strings of numbers signifying God knows what in every conceivable tongue. Pilgrims come from near and far to tune in the radio and to lay white flowers in honor of Perky Pat, whom they call Blessed One and Holy Mother.
1.61 0 3 3 9
I'm a boy,
7
wayfaring stranger,
9 4
traveling through,
2
just traveling through this world of woe. Yet there's no sickness, no toil, nor danger
5 6
in that right world to which I go.
1
I'm going there to see my father. Oh, I'm going there no more to roam.
Ye are cursed with a curse.
Our unit has been tracking a chaos virtuoso for a number of years. He's named the Quizmaster, and his worldview boils down to he's the judge, we're the contestants, we lose, and thus we have to be eliminated. It could be the Quizmaster found the head, or it could be that the head found the Quizmaster, or it could be that the head is the Quizmaster, which would mean that even the top secret tunnel, the one codenamed Cheney, is part of the game show, the Uber game show, the one called Global Chaos.
You know, I came from the Midwest, and I didn't have what I have now acquired. So security is important to me, and within that security, and this sounds like a conundrum, is the freedom to have everything I want. And the mystery of the whole thing is that I can't seem to find the one thing that I want, which is some form of happiness. So security is extremely important to me. No more, I want freedom from want. I don't ever want to worry about, even though I don't eat anymore, eating. I'm living in I won't call myself a zombie, but I have a certain fugue state that I seem to be in. When your part of your body is not really your body, it gives you a tremendous amount of freedom to show it, to allow people to feel it, because it's not really you. It's a disembodied part of your body, and it takes the shame away. It's very interesting because I could walk naked down Fifth Avenue with my new body, and I would allow the whole world to look at me. And it's not really me. I know that it's not really me. It's a creation. It's a very clever creation that the surgeons have done, and it gives me tremendous freedom. So yes, and it gives me security. I think freedom and security go hand in hand. I wouldn't say life is a living hell. I'm in the dead zone, honey. I don't feel enough to be in heaven or in hell. I've worked hard to get to this state. It's called limbo. It's not called heaven or hell. I'm in limbo. I'm not going to say zombie. Come on, zombie. I am not a zombie. Not with this figure, baby. Throw me in a cocktail party and I'm a fighting fish. I'm a foo fighter. I'm a fugu fish. But anyway, I just love the Goldberg variations. Mr. Goldberg, hey, how do you like them egg rolls, Mr. Goldberg? Remember that? Gypsy? Hey, Mama Rose? Because, at heart I am Mama Rose. Now you want that song? Curtains up, light the light. I got nothing to hit but the heights. My gold, I love my gold. My gold is the symbol. It's not the symbol. I'm covered. I'm covered in gold. And I am gold. My husband likes me. He likes his silicone. Golden, Twin Peaks. Some might call them missiles, golden, rock-hard missiles, glistening in it's the yin. I could call one yin and one yang.
Is the Quizmaster the Dark Angel?
No, the Quizmaster is not the Dark Angel.
Is the Quizmaster the Leviathan?
No, the Quizmaster is not the Leviathan.
Is the Quizmaster the Father of Lies?
No, the Quizmaster is not the Father of Lies.
Is the Quizmaster the Angel of the Bottomless Pit?
No, the Quizmaster is not the Angel of the Bottomless Pit.
Is the Quizmaster Beelzebub?
No, the Quizmaster is not Beelzebub.
Is the Quizmaster the Prince of the Power of the Air?
No, the Quizmaster is not the Prince of the Power of the Air.
Is the Quizmaster the Old Serpent?
No, the Quizmaster is not the Old Serpent.
Is the Quizmaster the spirit who now works in the Sons of Disobedience?
Well, chaos is what's really going on. I mean, if you looked in my purse, you'd see chaos. Because even though I've got this huge structure, I don't know if you sort of get how important my husband is. You may not get it, but this is big stuff. I mean, this is not little stuff. And I have to work on, maintaining this balance. It's like being on one of these big balance balls and never falling off it. But inside my life and my heart and my head, yeah, it's chaos. I'll admit it, it's chaos. I'm trying to rein that chaos in.
Is it out there?
That's when it all gets away from me and I'm running around and I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm trying to organize this chaos. I go out and I stare into that koi pond and I look at my little fishies and I think, take a deep breath, breathe.
The most beautiful universe pouring out, sweet beings at random.
If all things were turned to smoke, the nostrils would distinguish them.
Sweet beings at random.
Well, my favorite two fish are Kama and Sutra. They're, like those fabulous illustrations that we all naughtily peeked at when we were 10 and 11 and whatever, and they have this symbiotic relationship that you don't know where one begins and the other ends, and they're entwined, and it's the circle of life.
Bring me the hat, yes, bring me the hat. I do not care if it's living or dead. In a box, on a hook, on the end of a stick. Just bring me the hat of Philip K.
Topless terror at Golden Pond. Mrs. Nancy Robinson, the glamorous wife of famed globe-trotting money guru James Jimbo Robinson, was sunbathing by her garden fish pond when she was suddenly accosted by a levitating head that tried, unsuccessfully, to attach itself to her exposed left breast. Mrs. Robinson, a talented amateur tennis player, used her killer backhand to stroke the head from her property in the general direction of the neighboring Pingree School. Though unharmed by the floating head, Mrs. Robinson described herself as traumatized by the incident, stating that the head killed her favorite fish, in her words, an exceedingly rare golden ghost. An investigator for the Department of Homeland Security who requests anonymity suggests that the head may be the work of a shadowy individual or movement known as the Quizmaster.
I was lying on the chaise and I had just inhaled my double vodka herby, because I add the herbs to the bloody, and I was in this fabulous daydream about Raphael, my 6'3" tennis pro, and I was sort of bathed in oil and sweat because I hadn't showered after my workout, and I was thinking about, I don't know, my mind races when I think about Rafi, sort of handcuffing him to the umpire stanchion and having him cry, 40 love, 40 love. Oh, another one of those fabulous daydreams. And my mind drifted to my missiles, and I was laughingly thinking, oh yes, he's my Rafi and I'm his Anna Cornucopia, which it just really, really made me laugh, because here I am just overflowing with fruits, and in the valley, my Anna Cornucopia is trying to get back into that sort of that Zen zone of peace, because chaos has been reigning recently with the market and the phone ringing and my husband's stress, and I'm lying there looking what's always this sea of calm, this crystal clear pond where Kama and Sutra and Nippy and Nimi are just gracefully gliding, and the water seems all roiled up, and I'm looking, and but it's very strange. I mean, it's just something new, and I see this head with this head rises out of the roiled water. It's a huge mouth rises out of my private yin space. I see this thing coming at me, this enormous gaping mouth, these lips, this beard. I grab my prince. My prince is always, my trusty prince is by my side. You know, the one that I love so much with the big sweet spot. And I've been just coming from 4 hours of that double-handed backhand. I go, I hit it. I hit the head. I hit the head right over the hedge. The head goes over the hedge, right into pin grease, playing fields. I could go, blech. Sort of like it was made out of a sort of a Martian alien sound. I don't know. Big rotten melon. Sort of like when I go down to my darling little designer garden, which I go down at least once a summer. I've been growing these ghost pumpkins. This is a little off-piste here, but you know, they get bigger and bigger and they're pure white. I kicked one of them the other day and it just smushed all over my foot. All these seeds came out. It definitely was rotten in the middle, but white and pure on the outside.
All history is one immortal being who continually learns. The being liveth a long time ago, but is still alive. The head Apollo is about to return.
Well, then the homies came, yeah. I call them the homies. You know, the crew from Homeland Security. Oh, there must have been 10 of them all in those matching little uniforms. And they marched in, and well, first they drained the pond. I couldn't believe it. And examined every single little fish, who were, of course, by this time belly up. Every scale. They took samples of the scales. They made me undress, which wasn't hard because I was just sitting there lying on my chaise in my bikini bottom. So they took photographs. They photographed me from every angle, which was fine. They took my fingerprints. They scanned my eyeballs. They took something they called nipple prints. I hadn't heard of that, but, well, I'm game. It felt good to me. Just did some sort of nipple scan. Well, that's what they said. The only strange thing is that all 10 of them had to do it. I mean, I thought one would be enough, but, well, whatever. They confiscated my tennis racket. Now, I love that racket. That was the only bummer part of the story, is that my favorite prince had to go bye-bye. But,
the poor lady did, in fact, come seeking some sort of counsel. A few days later, she was very traumatized, and, well, you understand, I had to tell her a whole slew of lies just to... Well, I was having such a horrible time myself that, in other words, I was lying to her and lying to myself, and in our lies we tried to console ourselves, and so I offered her, well, a drink. That is the way that we Episcopalians can deal with the hardships of life.
I don't know. The look, when I look deep, when I try to look, when I remember to wear my contacts and look deep into that hedge fund manager's eyes, I see fear. I see utter fear. So it is sort of a warning sign that something may be coming. Everything everything may blow up just the way that head just blew out of that pond. I don't know.
Yes, I'm the headmaster of Pingree School. My name is Philip Dooley. The school is located on the North Shore, just north of Boston. It was founded by Winthrop Pingree in 1809. He made his fortune, in buggy whips and crops, examples of which are over my shoulder as we speak. I say this jokingly, that a reminder of discipline, not the actual sting, but the reminder of discipline is always with us and helpful. There are a great many examples in museums and in private collections and among people who still drive horses in New England of the old Pingree whips. And, well, a great many of them were owned purposefully by graduates of the school. So, yes, in early June, as the school year is ending, we have sort of an ingathering of the whips, if you will, in which those who have examples of the founder's product come, and we have a bit of a snapping contest, if you will. It's very popular with the boys. Noisy, but
Bring
Me
the head
of
K.
Dick.
Bring
Room
me
that
of
Philip.
Dick.
Bring doom
The
head
Philip.
K.
Fall along.
Me
Head
of
K.
Dick doom.
Fall along.
Bring
Me
that
of
Philip.
Dick.
Bring doom
The
head doom.
Philip. Fall along. Bring
Room
head
of
K.
Dick.
Bring me
Room
of
Philip.
Dick. Fall along. The
Room head
Philip. Dick.
room.
well, a lot of the student body is generational. Their fathers came, their fathers before them. It goes on generation after generation. Well, they're a privileged lot. They always have been, and we feel something of a duty to maintain standards and to turn out leaders. It's muscular Christianity. It's rare these days, but it still has its place, I'd say, wouldn't you? Ta 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 ta. Hallelujah. What's that? Yes, Pingree does have a school hymn. We sing it every morning at assembly. It's Ora Labora, Come Labor On, by T. Tertius Noble, number 576 in the true hymnal, the 1940 hymnal. I can't remember the number in this new joke book, 1982. Come labor on, who dare stand idle on the harvest plain, while all around him waves the golden grain. And to each servant does the master say, go work today.
Philip K. Dick loved Winnie the Pooh. That means that the BKD head loves Winnie the Pooh. And it has come to our attention through reliable sources that the Quizmaster loves Winnie the Pooh. It's some sort of metaphor, but we don't know what for. In fact, there's a lot we don't know. For myself, I'm an ops guy, not an analyst. If you want the analysis, find somebody else.
Well, when I picked up this head from the bushes, I couldn't imagine where it had appeared from. Well, then, my first thought, I must say, was the state school boys who come by in the morning in those horrid yellow buses. chanting, sometimes screaming out of the window, "If you can't find a girl, find a pingry boy," that sort of thing. Nasty. Joke, no doubt. Well, it even occurred to me that it might be a joke pertaining to myself, a head for a head, or even some sort of horrid, cheap joke with a punchline about giving head, getting head, that sort of thing. The strife is o'er, the battle done, the victory of life is won. Hallelujah. So I brought this head into the office. I didn't know where to take it, what to do with it. I stuck it on a shelf next to the case with the whips. I thought, well, if anything, it might add a rather horrific little twist to disciplinary hearings with the lads. Couldn't do any harm. Well, then my mind turned toward my normal morning talk, my little speech each morning at the school assembly. And I headed down there and began giving the talk. Ale quam Dio cognitabat. In fact, there was rather a rapt attention from the boys, I thought somewhat unusual. As I went on, I noticed, well, rather to my consternation, that I seemed to be speaking Latin. Caput ergo aeternam in foramen inseruit et dixit. Well, as it turned out, it was Latin indeed. I spoke to our Latin master, Mr. Kaiser, who reported that indeed, while my pronunciation left something to be desired, my syntax was perfect. What he informed me, somewhat to my shock, was that I was reciting syllable by syllable from Vine ille pu, the Latin version of A. Milne's classic. Caput et foramine extraxit aliquam man Dio, and headed back to my office. And just as I was opening the door, I looked up, and the sign on the office had changed. No longer Philip Dooley, headmaster, but now Headmaster Horselover. Well, I opened the door, walked in, and there on my desk, with a little small sign that sits on the desk, again, Headmaster Horselover. Well, I was sitting there in a sort of reverie, if you will, and suddenly I began to hear this rum-tiddle-tum, rum-tiddle-tum. Next thing I did was I went to the shelf, picked up the head, looked at it. It looked at me, I must say, this horrific rictus of a grin always present on the head. Perhaps our science teacher, a rather brilliant woman, Kathy Nevins, our IT specialist, as well as, general scientific expertise. Well, I thought perhaps she might have a look at the head, so I took it along to her.
Look, pedantic,
Kinky.
Disaster.
polluted,
Knuckle.
Deus.
precocious,
Kierkegaard.
Dysphoria.
All along,
parasitical,
Demon.
puerile,
all along,
predatory,
Kingly.
Disaster.
private,
Knuckle.
Decapitation.
all along,
looted,
Derivative.
prisoners,
Killer.
plastic,
all along,
Dysphoria.
private,
Kelpie.
Dado.
precocious,
Kyrie.
Derivative.
parasitical,
Kinky.
predatory.
Phi is the golden number, and I can confirm to you that there is a good deal of phi stuffed into the head, because phi is the key to the resonating waves, the waves that permit the head to slip from time to time. It's all about numbers, numbers that no individual can get their head around, because it's infinity, and we can get a glimpse of that, but we can't hold on to it. It's the same way with God, and some people think PKD is an angel, the angel of infinity. And the question is, light, or dark? I mean, is PKD an angel of illumination or an angel of turning the lights out? Turning your lights out?
Somebody say hallelujah. 0. Somebody say hallelujah. 5. Somebody say hallelujah. 3. Somebody say hallelujah.
Sci Teach goes gaga over geeky head. Veteran Pingree science teacher Kathy Nevins has withdrawn from the faculty following what she described as a mind-squishing encounter with a high-tech head, discovered by Pingree headmaster Philip Dooley near the school's entrance gate. Ms. Nevins stated that the head took her to a cave where she saw a body that she identified as the body of Christ, an experience that transformed her from revered science teacher to useless puddle. An investigator for the Department of Homeland Security who requests anonymity suggests that the head may be the work of a shadowy individual or movement known as the Quizmaster.
Will you play with me?
Velocity is distance divided by time. Time is chaos divided by faith. Faith is blood divided by Christ. Christ is the human heart divided by the velocity of death. Tick, tick, tick.
Please carry me.
What do I think about when I think about caves? Candles, wax, damp, stone, then a body. A naked body, a naked dead body, a naked dead body with wounds, nail wounds on the hands, nail wounds on the feet, a naked dead body nailed to a cross, then stuck in a cave with candles, wax, damp, stone, the body of Christ, the smell of blood, the trace of iron on the tip of my tongue.
For example, that science teacher. One moment, she's in her basement, looking at the head, and the next moment, she's in a cave with a body that's been crucified. She can even smell the blood. And the next moment, or I should say the same moment, but in a different time sense, spit spot, she's back at her desk, teaching teenagers about what holds the universe together. And so, of course, she falls apart.
Where are we going?
I have the head in my hands. The head says, Kathy, come with me, or I will eat your heart. I say, my heart is pure. The head says, you must taste the blood, the dried blood, the blood on the body, the dead body, the body in the cave. I say, my heart is bleeding. The head says, you must taste the blood and know the blood, so that a new master may be born, one we shall call marvelous. And I say, my heart is broken.
I'm sleepy.
They say, what kind of cave? I say, a dead man's cave. They say, did you hear anyone use the word bin? I say, the word of God. They say, did you hear anyone use the word Laden? I say, the word made flesh. They say, what else did you see? I say, I saw the prison. They say, what prison? I say, the prison inside the empire. They say, what empire? I say, the empire inside the homeland. They say, you know, you're in big trouble. I say, can I have my pill?
3.
Is the Quizmaster Richard Nixon?
No, the Quizmaster is not Richard Nixon.
Is the Quizmaster Margaret Thatcher?
No, the Quizmaster is not Margaret Thatcher.
Is the Quizmaster Osama bin Laden?
No, the Quizmaster is not Osama bin Laden.
Is the Quizmaster Che Guevara?
No, the Quizmaster is not Che Guevara.
Is the Quizmaster Simon Cowell?
No, the Quizmaster is not Simon Cowell.
Is the Quizmaster George Soros?
No, the Quizmaster is not George Soros.
Is the Quizmaster Dick Cheney?
Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, 3 ticks and a tra-la-la, there was a teacher. She was a good teacher, a science teacher. Her name was Kathy Nevins. Then, one day, a man named Dooley, a headmaster named Dooley, brought her a head that he found by the front gate to a school named Pingree. And the head said, "Kathy, come with me." The head took the good teacher through the dark night, took her through a gash, through a tear. Yes, the head took her to a secret cave where there lay a dead body painted here and there with dried blood. The head said, "Taste," said blood, "with your tongue, for there is the taste of eternity, the taste of life everlasting." And so she tasted with her tongue. Now the science teacher, the good teacher, Kathy Nevins, is a suspect and a nutter and a pillhead. If she had the guts, she would cut her tongue from her mouth and feed it to her dog, for that blood was not marvelous. That blood was not wonderful. That blood was a key to the black iron prison, where Kathy, who they now call Nebula, spends her days humming and begging for her pill.
The blessed head is raises again. Alleluia. The strife is o'er, the day is done. All hail the blessed head. Alleluia.
Please brush my hair.
They say, "Where's the head?" I say, "In the dirt." They say, "What dirt?" I say, "Farm dirt." They say, "What farm?" I say, "I don't know farm." They say, "How deep in the dirt?" I say, "I dug till I dropped." They say, "Show us, lead us, dig for us." I say, "My head hurts."
I love you.
The square root of infinity is grace. The square root of grace is love. The square root of love is God. The square root of God is PKD. The square root of PKD is my pill.
Don't quote me, but if there is a God, there is a universal intelligence. And if that intelligence is in fact intelligent, then there is a purpose to this cosmos, this universe. But my private understanding is that it is chaos, and anarchy is always just a step aside from our own realities, in such a way that this whole incident with the head of PKD is a reminder that we are never safe in our own environments, because there is always this anarchos, this despising of order.
The problem is, the head thinks it is in fact the head of Philip K. Dick. It thinks like Dick, speaks like Dick, looks like Dick. For all reasonable purposes, it is Mr. Dick. At some point, we developed the theory that perhaps the head is out there, looking for the rest of its body. So we went to the cemetery where Mr. Dick is buried and exhumed his grave. We found the body still there, but the head is missing. So now we're looking for two heads.
Right, so if the first thing I want to say is that I have tremendous respect for Mr. Dick. I don't even like to speculate on this kind of stuff, because you never know. However, it's really something else.
0, 8, 6, 5, 9, 5.
Everybody who's a PKD fan is aware of what went down, what happened. I guess the roboticist was on a plane ride. This just keeps getting weirder and weirder. That is, see, the robot was scheduled. What is the story with this android? Did the Philip K. Dick android go rogue? Is it out there? Has it blended in?
1, 3, 1, 9.
Spuds. The surgery is simple. A kitchen knife will do the trick. No need for operating table or chancy anesthetic. You hold the patient in your hand and gouge the eye out of its socket. Potatoes, spuds, Solanum tuberosum. I plant them yearly, row on row. Summer long I wait for buried eyes to grow. A garden seeded with 100 eyes. I sense that they surveil us from below. They thrive in darkness in the underground, habitat of worm and mole, of skull and bone, of divested men turned into earth again. They grow like tumors, each in its little mound. Their novel eyes gaze both up and down. They are the first to see the man escape from hell, his burning head on backward, his buttocks blazing where his stomach hung, until the demons grab his flaming hair. Another subprime, bailed out billionaire. The upper eyes, those closest to the surface, can't stand the sun but are not blind. A study of eye movements show they trace trajectories of objects radar fails to find. They know where golf balls start their flight and end. A golf ball planted has no eyes to see. The golfer plants it on a tee. He swings. It whistles almost out of sight. He tries to plant it in a hole with a putt. Planting sterile balls in holes, a ritual, a rite, requires the rape and scalping of a landscape. It must be redeemed and resurrected. It must become the tycoon's wettest dream of green, the golfer's New Jerusalem, Dona nobis tuberosum.
Shooting stars in his face. You want to see it? Wow. You know what's so amazing? Is that it's the thinnest material of all. Silk. And look at those colors. Sort of like comfort food. When your husband's not around, you need comfort. So instead of having comfort food, you have comfort pajamas. Shooting stars in his face.
Golf widow loses beaver to scarecrow. Tiffany Splenda, wife of shopping mall mogul Tony Splenda and a self-described golf widow, has filed a charge of grand larceny against her neighbor's scarecrow, who she claims to have hypnotized her and then to have stolen her prized beaver coat. Her neighbor, a potato farmer, denies all knowledge of the incident and claims he found Mrs. Splenda unconscious in his potato field, wrapped not in beaver but in a tatty red choir robe. An investigator for the Department of Homeland Security, who requests anonymity, suggests that the scarecrow may be the work of a shadowy individual or movement known as the Quizmaster.
Now, scarecrow, how scary can you be? You scared Tiffany Splenda, but you didn't scare me. Scarecrow, scarecrow, how scary can you be? You scared Tiffany Splenda, but you didn't scare me.
We moved here because my husband, he has a dream. And the dream is he wants to live next door to his own golf course. So I know what you're thinking. So where's the golf course? But that's the thing. My husband, he sees a golf course right here. Says it's the perfect spot. Gentle hills, the babbling brook, meadows. I thought they were lawns that people forgot to, mow. But one of my neighbors told me they're called meadows, and they're supposed to look like that. You can tell I'm not exactly a country girl. I believe in nature, like survival and stuff, but I don't know much about it.
Russet Burbank, Russet Arcadia, Gold Rush, Norcoda, Long White, White Rose, and Idaho. Long, with a coarse, cork-like skin. High in starch, with a dry, mealy texture. They turn light and fluffy when cooked. Red bliss, yellow finish, and ruby crescent. They come in a variety of shapes and can be long or round, with a thin, smooth skin and an almost waxy flesh. High in moisture and sugar, low in starch. You can mash them, but instead of smooth and creamy, the results tend to be thick and lumpy.
So anyway, the plan was move up here, buy up all the properties around us, then build the dream golf course. I mean, normal men dream about, well, I don't know what exactly, but I'm pretty sure it has to do with sex and cute babes, right? Wearing like nurse uniforms and cowboy boots and whatnot. But not my husband, no way. Like, he dreams about clubs and holes. Clubs and holes. That's all he ever thinks about. Clubs and holes.
There is the myth, the mythology, that it was carried along the Silk Route and then came out of Istanbul. It was people who had seen Afghans and that kind playing with heads, the heads of the enemy, the slaughtered enemy, wrapped in a goat skin. And these men were riding on horses, banging the head around and playing what came to be called polo, as in Marco Polo. Now, the legend of this game came ever westward, perhaps with the Crusaders, those fine men, and it came up the Rhine and came to the Netherlands, where simple shepherd folk out there on the dunes, hearing of this game, of clobbering a skull around and having great fun doing so. They had no skulls. They had their shepherd's crooks. Their crooks, their long staffs with a crooked end for hooking the leg of a sheep. And what else did they have? It was the frozen sheep turd lying there on the sand, and it was irresistible. One and one put together. Here's a game. You knock the turd, you drive it here and there. Then you get two shepherds together. Who can make it go here? Who can make it go there? Then you dig a hole. Can you get it in the hole? And then you knock it in the hole. You've got the rudiments of the game.
Not everyone shares the same dream. Like our neighbor, Potato Man, he hates golf. He says, my farm isn't for sale. And my hubby says, name your price. Any reasonable price. And Potato Man says, there is no price. There is no sale. There is no sale price. I love my farm. I love it here, without a golf course. But you see, my husband, he made $1 gazillion building shopping malls where people didn't want shopping malls. So he keeps saying, it's just a matter of time. Time to find the right price at the right time.
Yeah, golf, if you spell it backward, it's flog, F-L-O-G. You try to spell potato backward, you don't get anything. You just get these little separate words like pot, tot, and top, and two. But flog is exactly what you do with a golf ball. You just sock it off the tee and it goes roaming around out in the sky, lands somewhere, and somebody picks it up and bangs it again. And your golf ball, you see, that's the difference. The golf ball is synthetic. It's made of this and that. It's perfect of its kind. It's spherical, perfectly spherical. But if you bury the damn thing, it can't produce more of its own kind. It is sterile. And, the decrease in sperm count may be directly related to the sport. Though science has refrained from looking into this subject, most doctors being golfers.
Minutes, hours, endless days. You know where you go. Dream of me
So you want to know about the head night, right? The night of the living head? Okay. Well, I was alone in my bed. That happens a lot. My husband travels about 40 weeks a year doing deals. I figure he's doing more than deals, you know what I mean? But anyway, I'm alone in bed. And it's real quiet and dark. And we have these sort of security lights. And they kind of light up everything outside if there's the slightest movement. But the problem is, there's always something moving. So it seems like the lights are always on. Drives the neighbors crazy. They call it light pollution. I mean, is there even such a thing as light pollution? I figure there's plenty of time to get into the whole darkness thing. Like when you're in a box 6 feet under. I feel the same way about silence. Plenty of silencio dead ahead, right? So my slogan is, make a noise. Let Cosmo know you're out here. That's what I call the universe. Cosmo. I guess you could say, I'm that Cosmo girl. There's plenty of life out there in the night. Bears, cougars, jackals, teenagers, ghosts. I'm telling you, I feel them through the air, and they leave their mark. A lot of nights, the car alarms go off. My hubby and I, we drive twin Mercedes convertibles. He drives the black one, I drive the red. Did you know Mercedes was actually the name of a little girl? Anyway, we had the car alarms tuned custom. So when they go off, it makes this cool, like, what do you call it, harmony?
The most beautiful universe pouring out sweet beings at random.
Then it says, put on the beaver and come outside. Just like that. Put on the beaver. And I'm thinking, how does it know about my beaver? I keep it hidden in the closet because of, all the animal rights freaks. So not many people even know about my beaver. I go outside and I get right up close, and he has these blazing eyes and the lips don't move or anything. But I hear that kind of smoothie voice again inside my ears. It's like I have my earbuds in, but I don't. And he says, tonight, you are the temporary empress, the empress of everything living and everything dead. And I'm thinking, okay. And that's when I noticed that humming again from all around me now, like there are all kinds of somebodies or some things out there in the dark. And now the head saying, through you that everything shall live and everything shall die. Tonight, tonight. And then it starts crooning that song, from West Side Story. Going mad, shooting stars into space. That one.
This just keeps getting weirder and weirder.
So while he's singing, I notice all these birds flying, and I'm thinking, oh my God, what is this? Some kind of Alfred Hitchcock movie? And the birds all gather around the head. Not crows, they're bigger than crows, but they look like crows, except bigger. And I'm standing there like totally naked under my beaver, just hoping they're not hungry.
Tonight there will be no shining.
Then the head says, lay your beaver on the ground and dance the dance of the shooting stars. And it's not like I decide to do it, okay? I just do it. I spread out the fur, lining side down, so my feet are on the fur. And I do this dance, this really precise dance with all these movements. Parts of my body I didn't even know could move that way. I mean, I love to dance, but usually I dance sort of wild style. I mean, I don't know steps or anything. So that was kind of weird. Anyway, while I'm doing this, I feel the earth vibrating a little under my feet. And these bone men sort of push themselves out of the dirt. I mean, they are complete skeletons, right? But the weird thing is they have golf clubs. And while I'm doing the dance of the shooting stars, they're doing something more like a vaudeville routine. I mean, the only thing I can compare it to is that dance in Mary Poppins. The one Bert does with the chimney sweeps. Did you ever see Mary Poppins?
Beaver, from Beaver Potato. Whew, that's a long shot. Huh. Beaver to potato.
Hot potato.
Beaver to potato.
Oh, that hot potato.
Beaver, a potato. Feeding around the bush. Spud.
You gotta hold that hot
Eager.
potato top of the body bowl.
I.
A top of two fire.
Beaver to potato. Potato.
So then the scarecrow starts spinning around, sort of in the same tempo as my dance. And as I speed up, it speeds up. And I'm thinking, my beaver's gonna catch on fire and I'm toast. And the strange thing is, the head, separates from the scarecrow's body and starts to rise up towards the sky. And the body bit drills into the earth and it's gone. Like the earth closes up over the hole, and it's gone, out of here, goodbye. So those big black birds start flying in a kind of slow spiral shape around the head, going up, up. And the bone men start whacking at all these loose potatoes with their golf clubs, launching them out into the wild wood. and there's still that weird humming everywhere. Sounded something like rum-tum-diddle-tum-diddy. Something like that. That's when I blacked out. Next thing I know, I'm in the kitchen, at my neighbor's, the potato man, the one who hates golf. And I'm in this ratty old, I don't know, it looks like a choir robe. You know, one of those red and white monk robe kind of things. Drinking a cup of tea made from, like, dandelions. I ask him, where's my beaver? He says the bone men took it. The skelly men with the clubs.
I'd like to get over the tiff with Tony. Down in my gut, I like to embrace him as a fellow human being. My gut tells me I should do this. And his ucks, fine in some sense, like to embrace her and hug her and draw them both into the community of life without fairways, teas, green fees, clubhouse dues, the whole jockstrap.
I don't know why that girl, the perky one, was raped, or who raped her, or who's Kirsty. I don't know what the head was doing in that fish pond, or why it wanted to suck on that particular nipple. I don't know why it stole the beaver coat, or why it seemed to require a midnight lap dance from Tiffany Splenda. I've spent my whole life knowing exactly what is going on. That's what I do. That's who I am. So when there's so many things I don't know, including the things I don't even know I don't know, well, that gives me a sick feeling.
God is now yours. God, hear why knows God. God, Ireland's God knows He. God, He knows, oh God, I knows God, He's know your God, arrow is here. God in shore, God shrine, oh God, why shore. God is swine, God. Does darkness have a name? The old name for Satan was Lucifer. And if you remember, Lux is light, and Pharaoh is to carry. So he's the carrier of light. No, darkness is ignorance. That is the true name of darkness.
Ja, mo, o, Yupov, Niet Kartochka. Love is not a potato. Love, Yubov, is God. God is love. Yubov, Niet Kartochka. Love is not a potato, but God is love.
I try to be as biblical as possible and go to the writings of Paul, where if one reads it correctly, one can give an understanding that God is everywhere, and that we are...
Yet beauteous fields, they lie just before me, where God's redeemed their virtues keep.
Bring Me the Head of Philip K. Dick, written, produced, and directed by Gregory Whitehead, with music by Laura Weens and Nick Samuto, and with a poem by John Swan. Performed by Elizabeth Aspenleader as Cryptica Scriptura, Karen Beaumont as Kathy Nebula, George Bergen as Reverend Darkly, Hilary Dealey as Nancy Robinson, Richard Jackson as Philip Dooley, Karen Lee as Tiffany Splenda, John Swan as the Potato Man, Anne Underland as Perky Pat, and Gregory Whitehead as the Patriot.
Oh, Dad, a potato.
I'm going there to see my mother. She said she'd meet me when I'd come. I'm only going over Jordan. I'm only going over home.
1.61 8 7 4 9 8